First, welcome once again to today's CLEEO Chronicles Volume 2, Voices and Visions of Puede. It's a great honor and delight for me to interview two very amazing people. Our esteemed OCC President, Dr. Angelica Suarez, and CLEEO Coordinator Counselor, Professor Eric Cuellar, who are both fearless leaders and champions of student success and equity here at Orange Coast College. In today's conversation, we will delve deep into current and relevant topics that are important to the Latinx community in the context of higher education and society around us. So I will start by asking our panel the first question. So here we go. Please describe your experience navigating higher education as a Latinx student. And I'll start with our President Suarez.
Thank you. You can hear me, yes. So when I think about my experience navigating higher education, I think about creating higher education a pathway by design versus by accident. And that's really how I ended up here in terms of higher education. It was by accident. I come from a family of 6 kids. I am the eldest. Do I have anybody here who is the eldest in their family? All right, just a few. So as the eldest, I had the responsibility of really paving the way for my brothers and sisters. And, and in essence, also helping support my family. I was born in Caborca, Sonora, and I came to this country when I was 3 years old. So my mom and my dad had both finished a 2nd and a 3rd grade education. And so higher education was not part of our trajectory, it was not part of our history. So when I decided to go to my local community college, it was by accident. And I am so very grateful that they showed up to the Career Center where I was a student assistant to talk about the path to the community college. It was East LA College. And I tell this story all the time that every time I came up with a reason why I could not go because of, you name it, I have to work to help my family, I don't understand what this means, I don't have a major. Every area that I said I didn't have an answer to, they said, don't worry, we've got you. And when they left, back in the day, I filled out a paper application that left me with my student ID, a paper student ID. And I have never forgotten the feeling that gave me of being the first in my family to be a college student. And so it was navigating a path that I did not know, but also having a lot of different champions along the way that help uplift me and support me and tell me that sí se puede y sí se pudo.
Thank you, Dr. Suarez. This wonderful question, and I want to give props to Professor Chavez Jimenez for drafting these questions. He was wonderful enough to kind of give me at least a cheat sheet, so I kind of take a look at these questions beforehand. And this question, I really began to reflect on it, and the first thing that caught my attention is when I mentioned Latino or Latinx. And I mentioned to Professor Chavez Jimenez, I said, the first term that comes to my mind in navigating my experience in higher education is one of a Chicano. Mm. And what I'd like to share is a little bit of my background and trajectory. Mi familia originates from the state of Michoacán. And Michoacán is in central western Mexico. And Michoacán in the Purembe, from the Purepecha people, means place of many lakes. So kind of think of it as the Michigan of Mexico. And it's also a state that has been historically pivotal in regards to the Mexican Revolution, and a revolution that impacted, obviously, the formation of movements of democracy throughout Latin America. And it actually happens to be the site of the oldest institution of higher education in the Americas. la Universidad de San Nicolás, Hidalgo. So, in having said that, from my family and from where they hailed, from Morelia, there's always been a revolutionary spirit. And part of that revolutionary spirit has always been focusing on democracy and the importance of supporting the efforts of building a better, society for people. So when I was growing up, basically, essentially, it was really through the lens of my parents, focusing, saying, eres Mexicano. But I found myself, here in the United States. So I kind of was in a position where I was kind of forming an identity that was more of a Mexican American. So at the same time, I know that identity is fluid, at least for, I would say, in our Latino, culture. So then, as I made my way through, primary and secondary school, I was pretty much, sometimes, depending on the moment, they would ask, well, how do you see yourself, identity-wise? And I'd say, well, Mexicano, Mexican-American. But then in high school, I was introduced to Chicanismo, and I said, this is really my experience. And then having learned about those who came before me in higher education that paved the way for an opportunity to have an education, it really touched me a lot. And when I attended community college, some of the classes that I enjoyed very much were actually my Chicano studies courses. So it really then began to shift towards more of being a Chicano. And one thing I will say, and those who have been my students will know this, is that one term that has always been part of my identity and is mestizaje. And that's bringing basically cultural plurality, several identities that can coexist. And as I share with one of my colleagues, Nathan Jensen, who right now is in South Korea, he's having a tough time, right? He's gotten really good because, I shared with him, I said, depending on the day and the hour, you will see those different identities in me. And he's gotten pretty good because he says, oh, you're having a Latino moment right now. And I said, yes, I am. And then he can tell, he says, oh, you're in your Chicano mode. So I think in part, it's really about the foundation and the continuation of cultural democracy and how it influences identity, and that it's okay to coexist with multiple identities. And I think that's part of what the educational process is.
Thank you. We'll move on to question 2. Who served as your biggest inspiration for becoming a college graduate and higher education professional?
Would you like to start? Oh, no, please. So I'm going to say my parents. And when I think about role models, from a higher education perspective, I don't have role models that have graduated from college, that have their baccalaureate degree, their master's, or their doctorate. When we talk about inspiration, I get my inspiration from my parents, who believed so deeply in the 6 of us and coming to this country where we can have a better life and a better opportunity, even though they did not speak English, even though they did not have the resources to provide some of the benefits that families have. The fact that my parents came to this country, my father was part of the Bracero program, and which is a guest worker program where he would come and he would work the fields. And so when my mother and I joined him when I was 3 years old, it was really about the resilience that my parents showed in navigating a new country, understanding how to navigate social services. I think about the struggles that they went through. My mother worked as she cleaned homes, and to this day I hate cleaning my house. But as a kid, I would go with my mom every Saturday. We would go to clean. I think there were five different homes that she cleaned. But I saw how hard she worked, and the same thing with my dad. And yet I also saw that as I started my education at East LA College, my parents didn't always know how to support me, but they knew that what I was doing was important. What my mother would always tell me is, I want you to graduate from high school and I want you to work in a place that is air conditioned, where you get to dress up and where you are respected and where you're valued. And she always thought that would be a bank. And so now, of course, my mom has been to my office, so obviously, has absolutely exceeded her expectations. But the reason that she said that was because my father worked as a gardener. And that is hard work. He was out in the sun all the time working. She worked cleaning homes, so she wanted something better for her children. What I learned from that was that you have to be resilient, you have to be hopeful, and you have to inspire and help in the ways that you can. No, my mom didn't help me do my homework. No, she didn't take me to do college visits. But I can tell you that in the morning, as I was running to class or I was running to work, because I worked full time and went to school in the evening, she would give me un burrito, right? Or un chocomil, which is a shake. Or at night or in the weekend, she would wash my clothes, or she would give me a ride. I can still remember my father at East LA. I don't know if many of you have been to East LA College, but I was sitting in the front steps of the college next to the Husky. And I could hear my dad turn the corner because he didn't want me to take the bus because it would take me all day to get home. So he would drive after work, and I could hear my father's truck coming, not because the truck was not a new truck, but I could hear all the tools shaking. But he supported me in those ways. And so my goal was, I want to be able to work so that I can help my parents and help them have a better life. And then I also wanted to make sure that my brothers and sisters had also a better life, because that's what they fought for so long, to come to this country and sacrifice. And so my biggest inspiration, my parents.
So another great question. Definitely looking in retrospect, it's the working as what is now known as the community cultural wealth model, and really the development of familial and aspirational capital. Definitely my parents, my extended family. Education was something that was always definitely pushed. I was fortunate. But I'll share with you what was really, truly the biggest inspirational moment. I was 5 years old, and I remember being outside, front yard. It was kind of a day similar to like today. And next thing you know, I was kind of just hanging out, playing a little bit outside. And I turned, and there was my sister. She's looking at me quite seriously. And I was like, that's not usually my sister, Very communicative, always had a big smile. And she says to me, you know what our parents expect of us, right? And I'm looking at her like, I have no clue. And I didn't say anything. And then she just looked at me, and I said, what? And she says, they expect us to go to college. And I said, college? So then she went ahead and kind of explained to me the educational system here in the United States. And then I said to her, oh, college, you mean it's like the 13th grade then? And then she looked at me kind of perplexed, and she says, yeah, kind of like that. You'll understand in time. But I never forgot that moment. And, she was, my inspiration, my role model. And, but obviously through my parents, but that connection, it was something admirable that my sister, my sibling, would share something at such a young age. It just amazes me. And at that point, she was 11. So it just never left my mind and my heart.
I'm sorry, I know this is not like karaoke and I have the mic, but I was going to add something. You just reminded me of something, Eric. So my mother would always say, and many of you who know me know the story, so you can laugh, but I know you know it. So my mother wanted me to graduate from high school. That was the dream. And then when I graduated from East LA College, she's like, "That's great, Mija, you're good to go." Then I transferred on to Long Beach State, got a bachelor's degree. I went to the Chicano graduation. And my mother said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're done. This is over. Now you're going to be able to do other things." And then I started my master's program. And my mother would say, "Ay, mija, you're going to get sick. You're going to get sick. Are you sure? I mean, there's a lot going on." And at that time, I wasn't married either. So there are cultural expectations as well, right? Se está pasando el tren, you get all sorts of things. And so when I graduated so I continued on, and then I told her that I had enrolled in a doctoral program. It makes me laugh to this day because she was so proud. She would tell her friends all the time, "Ay, mi hija es una doctora, mi hija es una doctora." And you know how that goes, right? Let's just say, I was pretty popular in the neighborhood. But now my mom is, she understands in the sense that I work here at Orange Coast College. I am a president. And she was able to join us during the welcoming ceremony here at the college. And I know Professor Cuellar chatted with her.
Yes.
But now all of my nephews, my nieces, have all gone to college. And I love to say that because I know the kind of impact someone going to college in your family has for generations. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that with you as you were talking about your sister. So, yeah, thank you.
It's really wonderful to hear the alignment and the how family and parents was infused in both of your answers, and just how essential that is to one's trajectory and their navigation through college. Yes.
Yes. By the way, Dr. Suarez, I've been experiencing a little bit of pain here.
I know. I get that question all the time. Exactly.
All right. So, moving on. According to a recent study by the Chronicle of Education, around 5% of nationwide full-time instructors in higher education are of Latinx background. How significant is strong representation of Latinx faculty to cultivating belonging and academic success among Latinx students?
It's critical. And, when I was looking at that statistics, I just wanted to share with you a little bit more in terms of what do we look like in the California community colleges. We have 116 California community colleges, and the California community college system educates 2.1 million students. So when you look at tenured faculty members in the California community colleges, 15% are Latinx. When you look at full-time faculty members at Orange Coast, it's 10%. So we're better than the average of 5%, but obviously we can do better. And the percentage of Latino students that we have, Latinx students that we have at Orange Coast is 37%. So why does it matter? It matters. It matters for students to be able to see themselves in their administrators, in their faculty members, in their classified professionals, to see that their experience is validated, that if you see yourself doing something with someone that shares your background, your experiences, it validates and it also reinforces that you can do the same thing. There's also the mentorship. Again, students feeling a sense of belonging, a sense of representation. I think, again, that is absolutely important. And so the ability to have different perspectives in the classroom is also important, and not just for Latino students. It's important that you have a diverse faculty in front of students, so you get exposed to different experiences and different perspectives, and that is really part of the value that we've been focused on here at Orange Coast College. I know that we have with us one of our board members, Board of Trustees, Mary Hornbuckle, who's joining us, and yay. And I say that because it takes leadership, it takes vision, it takes commitment, and our Board of Trustees has been very committed, very focused, so much so that they ask for regular reports on our efforts to create environments that are inclusive, that have diverse perspectives. And again, to me, that also shows commitment from the board to the president and throughout the institution. So it does make a difference, and I think, and again, that is what we are continuing to focus on, diversifying and bringing individuals on campus that have those experiences for our students.
Again, great question. I'm going to do maybe my Rodney Dangerfield imitation right now and be like, okay, this was a tough question. This one, it is a difficult question for me. And it has, in part, to do, obviously, by the numbers. And part of the reason why CLEEO project has become a reality, to hopefully, close the gap. By the numbers is basically there are 116 California community colleges that serves over 2 million students, approximately, I believe, 2.1 million. 49% of those 2.1 million are Latinx. So it really, the future of our state really depends on the access and success of the Latinx demography in California. And when I just think of it, it's 49%. And I just kind of recollect that individual icons like Dr. David Hayes Bautista and Dolores Huerta, emphasize that it would actually take, if all the hirings in California community colleges from here to 2050 were basically the intention of mirroring it would take until 2050 basically for us to mirror our student demography if all the hirings from here to 2050 basically were intentional to meet that goal. And that's just that's a reality, but it's one that I think it does, gnaw at me. It pains me. And I'll say that sometimes the perception may be that for Latinos, as a permanent underclass, and that's simply something that cannot do. And I think, it's important for us as educators, as part of this California community college system, to really support that access and success, because it will be for the benefit for all of California. Thank you.
I'm going to add just a little bit more to that. So one of the things that's critically important is that we create partnerships with our community-based organizations and educational institutions. So one of the things that we do is we have partnerships with Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton, UCI, to create pipelines for students in graduate programs to apply for positions at the community college, demystifying the process. I mean, we all know, we've all applied for positions, and not always the easiest process, but creating that, the ability to help our colleagues, our graduate students, to apply for these positions and help them understand that process. So I think that's really important. The other thing that I've seen also that has been strengthened is organizations such as the National Community College Hispanic Council, that again is designed to uplift and prepare Latino professionals to go into higher education. So again, that's another element that is really helping with our pipeline, because the idea that we don't have people in the pipeline is not true. The other program is Colegas, and I know Professor Cuellar and Irving Chavez probably will be presenting, I'm just putting that out there now, presenting at the November conference on the things that we're doing to create inclusive spaces for our students here. But again, this is an organization that invites a lot of students as well. So it's through partnerships with our local, with our four-year universities to create pipelines for graduate students to apply to community college positions, through internships, and then also through some of the professional organizations that help prepare and demystify the process to apply for positions in higher education. Community colleges.
With OCC being a proud Hispanic Serving Institution, HSI, how do you see OCC preparing Latinx students through and beyond college?
I just talked. Do you want to take this one?
No.
Okay.
No, please.
So I'm very proud of Orange Coast College being designated as a Hispanic Serving Institution. We actually have the honor of being dual designated as a Hispanic Serving Institution and also an Asian Pacific Islander Native American Serving Institution. And one of the things that if you are available on Thursday morning, we're going to have the Chancellor will be providing his State of the District, and then also following that with an equity symposium. And all of the colleges will get to present on their efforts to create those supportive spaces for our students, and our Latino students are certainly central to that conversation. Some of the things that we do at Orange Coast College, being a Hispanic Serving Institution, is have programs like CLEEO to, again, provide a place for students to connect. Ultimately, the entire institution, we want to make sure that the institution as a whole is providing inclusive environments for our students where they can see themselves, where they know that they matter and that they belong. But also it's important to create community. So we have our programs like CLEEO, we have Puede programs, we have our multicultural center. So again, creating those experiences and those opportunities for the students. So that is outside of the classroom. We also have, and I'm probably going to take some of the things that you're going to say, I'll just say it briefly. We have a cultural synergy institute focused on faculty looking at their curriculum in the classroom to make sure it is reflective of the experiences of Latino students as well as many of our other student populations on campus. Students need to know that, our Latino students need to know that they are part of the history of this country. Being a Mexican American, and you are in America, you are part of the history. And so it is looking at curriculum and ensuring that that history is part of that curriculum. So that is happening as well. And then looking again at all of the professional development that we have for all of our staff, understanding the Latino student experience so that as you engage with students, you know that they're coming from different backgrounds. We're not all the same. And so I think it's, I was going to mention one other initiative. It is the Caring Campus Initiative. And I know that our Classified Employee of the Year, Jeanette Grimm, is here in the room somewhere. Where's Jeanette? Okay, there's Jeanette. I'm going to embarrass Jeanette. She knows what I'm going to say. She is one of our classified professionals that is leading an effort called the Caring Campus Initiative, and it is about creating an inclusive space for students when they come on campus, that you're not just told, yes, you have to go to Watson Hall, down the street, up the street, turn right, left. No, it is that gentle handoff, making sure that our students feel connected. So there are a lot of different efforts that are designed to help support our students that come from minoritized communities, marginalized communities, Latino students, and then very specific programs to help support our Latino students on campus. And I know Professor Cuellar will tell you more specifics.
Thank you. I think in regards to this question, I want to start off with sharing with you one of my cultural intellectual heroes, Dr. Marcelo Suarez Orozco. And
no relation.
And Dr. Marcelo Suarez Orozco introduced in one of his writings the term architecture of care. And that was very influential in regards to the formation of the CLEEO project. And I think in regards to Orange Coast College preparing our Latino and Latinx students through and beyond college, I think I'd like to think in regards to CLEEO project providing, some of the formula for success in this. One thing I want to highlight is this is maybe, I think, the 80th event approximately that CLEEO project has had since 2016. And it's, I think, one of the hallmarks of the CLEEO project in bringing the campus community together by having guest speakers. And we've actually hosted Dr. Marcelo Suarez Orozco. But what I really want to basically share is that part of the intention of bringing these guest speakers, such as Dr. Francis Contreras from UC Irvine, Dr. Luis Rodriguez from UC Riverside, all of these guest speakers, is the opportunity for our campus community, and specifically our Latino and Latinx students and Chicanx students, to be able to see themselves reflected in these scholars that are nationally and globally known. And to me, it's bringing the 4-year institutions to the 2-year institutions. It's bringing those UC, the CSU, and private independent university scholars here. And there's an opportunity for our students to actually connect with them, hear the research that they're basically producing and creating and producing, and to connect with them. This is one story that I just remember. When a former CLEEO student who was admitted to UC Irvine for business, and he really connected with one of the speakers that I hosted from UCI. And the scholar, this professor, said, well, come to UCI, I'll give you a personal tour. And he did so, and out of that came an additional $5,000 scholarship opportunity that he received. Yes. So it's really about bringing that connection. And I was aware, basically, and my students can attest that I'll say, basically 3 to 6% of PhDs are Latinx. So then I bring these, part of the 3 to 6%, these doctoral, scholars from our Latinx community, Chicanx community, so we can have them here. And to me, that's increasing, the diversity ranks. So we have them on loan, but it's nice to have them and for them to be able to create that connection with the students directly. Thank you.
Can you please describe the importance of Latinx spaces in promoting and sustaining student community and belonging?
I think we talked a little bit about this earlier with having students feel that there is a place that reflects their experience, where you have other students who have similar experiences. Again, we think about CLEEO and the work that's happening with CLEEO. To see some of to create that sense of community is really inspirational to see. I recently attended, I've attended Colegas. Colegas is an opportunity for Latinx professionals in the California community colleges to come together. And what happens when you come together in a space of, let's say, 1,500 people from up and down the state of California in community colleges, the energy that you feel that everything is possible. And one of the things that our Chancellor Yamamura, does is he will have debriefs, and we talk about, so what happens when you are in those spaces? What can we bring back to the colleges? And one of the things that we've said, whether it's for African American spaces, Asian Pacific Islander, is that sense of community, finding spaces where students feel that their experiences are validated, that they are valued, that you see them. And I think, again, CLEEO does that, Puente does that, and of course, as a college president, I want students to feel that way when they walk into every space. I want students to know that they do matter. I want them to see themselves reflected in the things that we promote about the college, our publications. I will share that this year we have selected for our Distinguished Alumni of the Year, Silvia Mendez. How many of you know who Silvia Mendez is? I expect to see your hand up there, Dr. Drew. Well, Silvia Mendez, she is the daughter in the case of Mendez versus Westminster, and this was a seminal case that served to, I was going to say disaggregate because I've been talking about data, but no, desegregate the school systems in Orange County and then eventually in California, and also was a foundational case for Brown versus the Board of Education. She will serve as our Distinguished Alumni of the Year. And when students learn about that history, again, it's about representation. They see the work that she's done and how she has persevered and her resilience that really has had an impact not only in California, in Orange County, California, but really across the country. Those are proud moments. And that says, you matter, your experience matters. And that's what we try to do with the speakers that we have with CLEEO and with a lot of the different events that we have at the Multicultural Center and our Puede program and other events at the college.
Lost track. Sorry. So, question 5, correct?
6.
6. Oh, okay. So, what I really would like to share is one of the tenets of the CLEEO project, and it's not only it's so significant and important to have spaces. And by the way, May 1st, we're going to have the formal inauguration of the CLEEO Project Center at the Global Engagement Center, room 109. And you're all invited 1 to 3. We're going to have some great tamale tasting too. So space is very significant. It's an affirmation. And in the CLEEO Project Center, something you'll be able to see in that space is the CLEEO Permanent Art Collection. By the end of the semester, I think we'll probably have about 35 art pieces, and all of the artists that have shown at the CLEEO Project Center have shown at MOLA in Long Beach, and we have one of our great artists here in the house, Maria,
Yes.
Her artwork is here displayed. But alongside the space, CLEEO Project, the tenet that I was referring to is that the vision is to create an educational pathway from PK all the way to postgraduate or professional school. CLEEO Project is about basically changing that 6% statistic. It's about encouraging students not only to earn their certificate and associate's degree, but also not just bachelor's degree, but to start thinking about postgraduate school, going to law school, going to med school, right? It's the significant part, right? And part of, the counseling component of CLEEO is having those conversations with students who are considering transferring. And that's often a conversation that really doesn't take place. Or transfer students may not hear about, the GRE or the LSAT until maybe their end of their junior year. And we're talking those that were fortunate enough to be able to transfer. So it's my mission and goal to have those conversations from the onset here at the community college, because I think it's part of addressing a larger inequity, and that's that, basically supporting our students to dream, to go for that PhD, become la doctora, right? And I think it's important to have spaces that basically also support that vision and goal.
In today's age and post-COVID, there has been a steady increase in mental health challenges and struggles amongst Latinx community and everyone else. What advice would you offer to individuals who may be struggling with imposter syndrome in school or at work?
So, just when you think that you overcome imposter syndrome, it creeps up, right? I remember, and I say this now because I've been here now 5 years, and I have one of my board members here. But I remember when I applied for the position of president of Orange Coast College, and I walked in and I saw a room of, 15 people? And, here I am. I said, okay, I have the education, I have the experience, I have the PhD. But you walk in there and those thoughts just kind of start playing with your mind. And so I've learned to do a lot of self-talk that, no, you don't edit yourself. this is an interview, whether in this particular case it's an interview, you're interviewing the committee and they're interviewing you. You are worthy, you've done a lot of work, you are prepared. And I serve on a number of different dissertation committees as well as different panels. And what I say is, if I were to, what would I tell myself, my younger self? I would tell, again, don't edit yourself. When you look at a job description and you want that position, you meet the minimum qualifications. Don't go through the list of 25 and say, well, I don't have one. I'm not gonna apply. Apply. I think it's believe in yourself. You're stronger than you think. And I think that is something that I do every day. And just when you least expect it, you'll get that validation. For me, it's running into a student or getting an email from that student, and I know you have the same experience, saying, hey, Dr. Suarez, I just graduated from wherever. And you know that you're making a difference. And so moving in, the other thing is challenge yourself in terms of different positions that you are applying for. I had been a vice president of student services at a community college in South San Diego. I'd been there for 10 years. I was very happy, and my husband and I had lived in San Diego for 20 years. I thought that was my forever home. But the minute you start feeling comfortable, you know it's time to move. You know it's time to challenge yourself. What else can you do? I add the cultural tax, because I also feel a duty to represent and to reflect, again, our Latino population in a lot of the spaces that sometimes we're not represented. So kick that imposter syndrome off your brain and say, and believe in yourself. Don't edit what you do. You've got it. I'll say, you've got this. ¿Sí se puede?
So the advice, to begin with, what I would start off with is the imposter syndrome. That's the imposter itself. And each and every one of us, we have a unique talent and potential. And my advice is basically, in reality, there's no one like ourselves. And I think that's the main thing to remember. We were all basically here, we're all here for a purpose. And that potential and talent is within us. And I tell students, there's no one like yourself, and you're special. You have that talent, you have that ability. Go for it. You've got the ganas. If you've got the desire, you can make and actualize your dreams. And again, I tell them, you know yourself better than anyone. And if anything, I'll say, I'll always be here for you. And I'll support you in whatever you choose or decide to do. I definitely don't ascribe to making up their mind for them. And it's about really saying, hey, you have the ability, you have the potential, you're unique, you have talents. And basically, I think in regards to us being as counselors, we're there to basically affirm. That's right. And it's part of that unconditional, affirmation and that support that we give our students. And again, we're all each very unique, and there's a plan and a purpose for us. Thank you.
We're going to use our imagination here. Okay. If you discovered a letter within a time capsule that you created long ago, what would it say?
Oh, goodness. This is a tough one. It would say that I always think back to my parents, and I always think back that I didn't know how I would achieve. I didn't know what success meant. But all I wanted was to make sure my mom didn't have to work so hard, to make sure my dad didn't have to work so hard. to make sure that they had time with us. And so I think that if I were to have written a letter, it would have been, get a good job so you can help your parents. I think that that's probably what I might have told myself. Yes. I didn't have a student education plan though.
Again, good question. Definitely a tough one.
Yes.
So first thing I would say, if I discovered a letter that I wrote to myself and found a time capsule, I said, you got to keep practicing your cursive because it's bad. And then I think when I finally got to deciphering my own scribbling, I would say, aren't you glad that you applied to Orange Coast College? Mm-hmm. And a true story, I received a phone call from my former dean of counseling, Dr. Wei Pham, on my 30th birthday. And I said, I knew that this would be home. And I knew that the opportunity to create CLEEO project would be here. And I just want to, mention something about also, I attended Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, and my family would come and see me, and then we'd drive back to Oceanside, that's where I was born and raised. And I would share with my parents, I would see Orange Coast College on the 405 going south. And I had heard about Orange Coast College from my peers. And I said to my parents, someday I'm gonna work at that college.
Wow.
And then my mom would always say, I'm aging myself here, but there was a commercial by Nissan many years ago, and there was this little boy who was next to a sports car, and he said, someday. And my mom still reminds me of that. Remember you said someday? So I think that's part of maybe that letter. Even I couldn't probably make out what I wrote, but I think it was in my mind. But I think the main thing is that that OCC would be my future home, and this would be the opportunity to basically make OCC a home for others.
Yes.
And I think all of you know who you are, and I just want to say something that I love you all.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to our students here today about their journey and advice on persisting and moving through their educational journey and beyond?
Keep your eye on the goal of completing your degree. You matter, it's important. We talked about representation. Believe in yourself. If we all face issues, we all face problems, but know there's someone here at Orange Coast College that can help you and they can support you. You're not alone in this journey. And again, I cannot stress the importance of staying on task. There are so many things that happen in our life that sometimes it's easy to say, well, I'll do it later because I'm going to put a hold on right now because there's other things that are happening in my life. It's very difficult to come back because of other things that continue to happen. Stay on track, finish your degree. You are impacting your role models for other people that you may not even know you're serving as a role model. They're watching what you're doing. Your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, your cousins, your tios, they're watching. And know that you can come back and also do the same for others. You can come back and work at Orange Coast College. You can come back and be a faculty member here. You can come back and be a classified professional, an administrator. And as Eric said, someday, right? I too love Orange Coast College, and I love it because I see that we have a college community that cares about each of our students. I see it, and it's not just in words. I see students being walked to classes. I see the telephone calls. I hear the conversations. And so whatever roadblock you may have on the way to getting to your degree, just know that we can help you with that. And long after you leave Orange Coast College, you've made connections here. We are here to support you. it's not just a saying, once a pirate, always a pirate.
Something that I would like to share, I guess, in regards to advice, that one of the beauties of community college is open access. And again, community college, higher education, it always has its doors open. It's the most democratic system of higher education in the world. And we're blessed and privileged to have that. But obviously, many individuals need support, and it's important. And we're not born knowing. But I think one of the important things is collaboration. And as Dr. Swan has mentioned, the OCC CSI, or Cultural Synergy Institute, the term synergy from the ancient Greek means working together. And basically, it's about collaboration. It's about bringing people together. And my colleague, Professor Marone, has said, it's about bringing people together. And I think that's part of not just Orange Coast College, but the CLEEO project is focused on bringing people together, and also the intergenerational cross-communication, connecting the different editions of CLEEO together, whether it be CLEEO 2.0, CLEEO 10.0. It's bringing them all together. It's about community. It's about putting and emphasizing community in community college.
That's right.
Thank you. And by the way, this is not tequila.
So that concludes the interview portion of today's event. I want to give a warm hand to our President, Dr. Suarez, and Professor Puede, for sharing such touching stories about their journey and giving us all, instilling hope and helping us to kind of visualize a better future for ourselves and working together and bringing everyone together. So thank you for that.
I left the seat here warm for you.
All right, so first and foremost, I want to give my deepest appreciation, and let's give a warm appreciation to Professor Irving Chavez Jimenez for next step, I want to introduce someone who's very special, who's a CLEEO collaborator. And I just, for some reason, the artist Guillermo Gomez Peña comes to mind. Being a smuggler of ideas, and ideas are also images. And as my students know, I'm a big advocate of visual literacy. And our tradition, going back to Teotihuacan, is one of obviously of images and murals. So art is a very big thing. And we have some fabulous artwork up here. And I want to welcome to the podium my collaborator, my curator for CLEEO, Maria Guadalupe Manat. Thank you for joining us, Maria.
Hello, everybody. First of all, muchas gracias for that warm welcome. And Professor Puede, thank you so much for our continuous collaboration and bringing such really cool work here. I was trying to come up with a fancy word, but really, it's just cool. So a little bit about me. I'm a little bit emotional right now because when I was listening to you talk, you really represented a lot of what I went through, my trajectory through school, right? I have a master's degree from California College of the Arts. I went to Cal State Long Beach, started off at City College, kind of pushed there by my art teacher in high school who said, pretty good at this, you wanna do it? And I was like, I don't know what I could do with it. And she was like, you come in here and I see you help your other classmates, why don't you try to teach? And then from there I was like, that's what I'm gonna do, be an art teacher, and it's what I have to do. But part of the issue of navigating school by yourself for the first time, I'm not the oldest, I'm the middle of 7, but I'm the first one to go to college. So it's the same, right? You're navigating things by yourself. And so City College took 3.5 years. Then another 3.5 years at Cal State. But then, graduate school was just 2 years, that's enough. I'm still paying them. But, I started it as a drawer and a painter. My introduction to art was drawing and painting. But as I learned more of process, I was kind of nudged into doing printmaking just for fun to see how I liked it. And I loved it so much I decided to double major. So really they don't do that anymore, but Cal State Long Beach during the time I have a BFA in drawing and painting and a BFA in printmaking. And so just to give you kind of an idea of what printmaking is, most people know what screen printing is because t-shirts and such. Printmaking is a really big umbrella that carries a lot of processes in it. And the idea of printmaking is you create one matrix, one image that's you're able to repeat, right? So when people hear the word print, they think of like a copy, and it really isn't. It is multiples of one image that you've created yourself through a process. For me, it's the one you see of the hummingbird. It's a linoleum cut, which means that I took a piece of linoleum and with blades I cut out this image that came from me, and it's reversed, so you're thinking backwards twice. It's kind of like creating a stamp. So if you've seen a rubber stamp, it's backwards. And so then you're also thinking, we're used to adding dark to light paper. This is backwards, you're taking your lights out. So it's a whole, but it's so much fun. It's challenging, but so much fun. And so this is an edition of 20. I did that in edition 20 of this one. But this image is very special to me. It was one of those things that just came to me while I was in the car. I was thinking of imagery that represents warriors, right? And Aztec culture, Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, is represented as a hummingbird. But Huitzilopochtli is male, so I decided to make a female. Thinking about the warrior women in my life, and I was thinking about my grandmother, who was blind, but still managed to put on her regalia every day, come out and see. And come out to a world that she couldn't see, but she loved, and she came out every day. Her life was love, right? And so every day she braided her hair with the yarn and put it up before going out. And so one of my favorite things was when I was with her, I used to do it for her. And so when she passed, the only thing I got from her was that ribbon she put in her hair, the yarn that she put in her hair. So that's a piece for her. The piece that's actually next to mine is not mine. Part of also what I do with CLEEO is introduce and bring on my really cool friends who make really cool work. They do really amazing work. This artist, Abel Rodriguez, he's an artist who's now up north in Valencia. He also went to Long Beach, that's where I met him, originally from up north. He makes a joke constantly of going from jail to Yale because he did go to Yale. He went to Cal State Long Beach and then did graduate school at Yale. But he, was in I like to call them colorful neighborhoods that a lot of people end up getting stuck at. And he was, he and his partner for a while had a gallery, and so also with them it's very important to bring visual representation of our people to where they are. So that's part of what I say. I can bring up all these fancy terms, but they're just cool. Anyway, thank you so much. We do have the Mile event that we are having May 1st. We're also having another artist there who does work. She builds relationship with street vendors in LA, paints their portraits, and you're gonna get to see a few there at the event. Really cool. It's actually gonna be there as well and do a little chat. And I'm gonna finish with this. A very, what do we call them? Shameless plug. If you ever want to take a class with me, I teach at MOLA once a month, just for fun. It's 2 hours, we sit outside and you paint or draw, whatever the medium is of the month, and we get to hang out. So anyway, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you all May 1st. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Let's give her another applause. I just want to share. I want to first also thank Dr. Jordan Stanton.
Yes.
He was creating community. He introduced Maria to me and the CLEEO project. So I give you props, bringing people together. Dr. Stanton and Dr. Rendell Drew are also part of the CLEEO learning cohort. So 3 courses basically coming together. So props to you as well, Dr. Drew. And what I want to mention is another shameless plug. If you go to the OCC CLEEO project webpage, you'll see the CLEEO Hall of Fame, where we have Dolores Huerta and Luis Valdez, their presentations, along with Dr. Suarez, who's welcoming the campus community, and thank you for that video. But there's also the CLEEO Summit Library that has other presentations, like Dr. Victor Rios, Dr. Pedro Noguera, Dr. Francis Contreras, but there's one that's really, really special. And it's actually an hour and 24 minutes. It's a documentary. And by the way, Maria, Luis Valdez enjoyed it. And it's producing art during a pandemic. And here's the true story. We were scheduled to have this tamale tasting and art presentation when the pandemic hit. It was, 2020. 2020, right? So then the 4 artists, they actually filmed themselves doing their artwork using their mobile phones. It was edited professionally, but it's an outstanding piece of work. So, and you'll see Maria is one of the first 4 artists in this documentary. So if you get a chance to check it out, it's basically producing art in a pandemic, and it's also regards to a culture sustaining itself under adversity. So check it out. It's a beautiful documentary, and hopefully in the future, I'd like to enter into an independent film festival and have those artists be present to talk about their experience down the road. So now, moving on, I think, to something much more exciting.